Hey, hello. Cole again. Okay, so we are on to the second of the three main titles that I am currently collecting in the Marvel Universe. Last time it was Iron Fist. This time it's the big, flashy, showy title, New Avengers. If you saw before, I think I talked a little about how on the old Avengers, or whatever you want to call it, classic Avengers, I was never big into, didn't really care. You know, sort of their big three, their main guys were Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. And while they're okay characters, those were like the best they had to offer, and I didn't find any of them interesting. As far as supporting characters that were in and out of the lineup constantly over the decades, I really didn't care about most of them, didn't think they were that cool. You know, when they showed up in other comics, they didn't, I don't know, just didn't do it for me, you know. I was always a much bigger fan of the X-Men, and even smaller, less-known teams than that. Not a big Fantastic Four fan either, but, you know, still, the consciousness in Marvel is always that the Avengers are the big group. But anyway, like I said, I wound up collecting the disassembled storyline, starting with issue number 500. There we go, there's my director's cut of it again. Alright, and here's the very last ever issue of normal classic Avengers, whatever you want to call it. Issue number 503. It's Avengers Disassembled Chaos Part 4. There we go. Oh, a little side note, you know, kids, always remember to bag and board your comics. If you want them to last at all, you know, you gotta do it. And when you store them, hopefully you have boxes. Most comic stores will sell you those, the same sort of boxes that they use. Smaller ones are available and stuff, because you definitely at least want your comics to stand up. You don't want to stack them. Like I said, comics are fragile things, and if you want to, you know, be looking at them as years go by, you gotta take good care of them. It doesn't cost a ton, but like I said, if you're into comics enough to collect them, then you should be into them enough to take care of them properly in storing them. And like I said, it's not a huge issue, it's not rocket science, but I thought I'd touch on that. So anyway, yes, this is the last issue, and by this time there's all sorts of hate mail flowing in. People wanting Brian Michael Bendis' head. Brian Michael Bendis, for those who don't know, he's sort of, I don't know where he stood back then, this is around 2004, but by now, about 5 years later, he is the guy as far as scribes go in the Marvel Universe. He is so prolific, has written so much, and we'll talk about that. I don't love everything he's done, but I can't argue with the success he's had, and the fact that, you know, he basically took Avengers and revamped it and got me completely interested in it. And like I said, there was a lot to think that maybe it would be sort of a gimmick, the way they did it, putting it together. If you don't know just how that team started, you know, they kept Cap and Iron Man, but then they brought Spider-Man and even eventually Wolverine into it, and it's just like, oh, big cash grab, you know, take Marvel's most popular characters and just stick them on a team together. And it probably wouldn't have worked, but if not for how it was done. And I think they did some really good choices with it. Here's my big confession. I don't own New Avengers #1. I'm going to get it. It's a priority. But I started with number 2. So there's number 2. And, oh yeah, that's better. And, they wanted a big event again. They wanted to, like, make it seem similar to when the Avengers originally got together. So the thing was this mass breakout of super criminals at the super criminal prison, the Raft. Yeah, I believe it was the Raft. As caused by, actually, the Spider-Man foe enemy, Electro. And as time goes on, you find out that it has all these ramifications and things like that. But anyway, that was to get them together. As you can see, Luke Cage is on the cover because he becomes a very, very prominent new Avenger. So as time goes on and we go to different arcs, here's an arc by... The second arc, basically, is The Sentry. And he is this big... There he is. All-powerful character that was sort of retconned in. And I mean, it's the ultimate retcon. Because the whole idea of him was that he'd always been there. And yet, not only did the audience, us, you know, the reading public, not know about it, actually the characters in the universe didn't know either, because their memories have been wiped of him completely. So that's how that works out. Yeah, if you watch my stuff, you're going to get spoilers, but, you know, there's more commentary than anything else, right? So anyway, it focuses on him. It doesn't really resolve anything, except he's extremely powerful. He's like, almost like a cosmic being, but he's messed up, so... You know, they have this run, like, where, you know, because of his sanity and stuff like that, like, he's sort of the Avengers, like, ace-in-the-hole reserve member, but usually he's in therapy and stuff. So then we get into another arc that involves the underworld in Japan, and Daredevil, who was actually at the... here's one of them. You'll see the character Ronin on the cover fighting ninjas in the hand. Anyway, Daredevil was actually at the initial raft breakout incident, and he was asked by Captain America to join the team. He said no, which is good. We didn't want to see Daredevil in the New Avengers. Not that we don't like him, it's just like, you know, we don't... If we're going to put guys like Spider-Man on the team, at least leave a good loner like Daredevil off, street-level hero, and he just, you know, turned them down flat, so there's too much going on in his life. This was right before, actually, the events that led up to him being outed as Matt Murdock and going to prison and all that stuff, which I'll talk about. So anyway, they had this, some business to do concerning the Japanese underworld, wanted to send somebody in, asked Daredevil, because apparently Wolverine wasn't available. They don't explain that why. I guess perhaps possibly something that was going on in X-Men at the time. I mean, you know, Wolverine is in about 14 titles a month, even before New Avengers, so maybe they thought, you know, spreading him a little too thin. So anyway, so he came up with, Daredevil suggested somebody, a character who I hadn't known before, Maya Lopez, Echo, a deaf character, who as far as I know didn't have any superpowers, but she, you know, was sort of similar to a guy like Daredevil and stuff like that, ninja training and all that. So she, using the alias Ronin, there you go, infiltrated the Hand in the Japanese underworld and all that, to check on that. And they sort of keep that on the back burner for a while they move on to other storylines. Here's New Avengers, here's the first annual. A big deal because that is Luke Cage marrying Jessica Jones. Now, Jessica Jones is a character, another sort of retcon character, who was created a few years ago by Brian Michael Bendis. Whole idea was that she was always in the superhero community too, possibly was an Avenger, and you know, she was I think her name was Jewel, super strength, blah blah blah, and eventually when Brian Michael Bendis first started writing for Marvel, he wrote this series, can't think of the name, I'll look it up, that focused on her as a retired superhero, and now she was being a private eye, which I think is, you know, kind of stupid, you know, you want to retire from that kind of life, then don't be a PI, you know, be a farmer, be something, you know, removed from all that, but anyway. And because Brian Michael Bendis likes to make his characters curse, she curses like a sailor. I really can't stand her. Anyway, so she eventually, through these pages and other pages, The Pulse, that's another title that ran for a while, she starts a relationship with Luke Cage, and anyway, here they are married. And I guess that's okay, but I mean, if there's anything I really can't stand about reading New Avengers, it's her. I just can't stand her and her filthy mouth throughout the books, but, you know, whatever, to each his own. So, I haven't really given a lot of information about why I like New Avengers. I'll just have to say it worked for me. One thing I'll tell you, if you're looking to get into the Marvel Universe, and you want a title that's at the center of absolutely everything, this is it, New Avengers. All the big major events, they all come right through here. Like, everything that's huge, you know, they're on the ground floor for it. One of the things I like about the other titles I collect, Moon Knight and Iron Fist, is that they're part of the Marvel Universe, and there's connectivity there and stuff, but they're also very self-contained, which is cool, you know, they're away from the bigger storylines, they do their own thing. But if you're looking for something right at the center, the hub, New Avengers is definitely your book. So far, Brian Michael Bendis has written every issue, I'm almost totally certain. Yeah, he wrote this annual as well, stuff like that, and there have been crossovers and stuff, I'm sure, involving other people, other writers, and the artists have changed and stuff. Although lately it has become fairly consistent. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into another of my really super long things. If you've been watching my videos, you know I'm not a guy who does the 6-7 minute video. I push it to the limits. So I feel kind of bad because I don't know how much information I've really given on New Avengers. If people want me to talk more about it, just simply ask, and I will. Here's the 50th issue. As you can see, I've been sticking with it. But like I said, if you were just coming into Marvel now, or if you're just getting your head around some of the stuff that happened, House of M, Civil War, most recently the Skrull invasion, that all ties in beautifully. Like, that's one thing I'll give Brian Michael Bendis. He plans stuff really far in advance and puts it in there early on. And if you look back later, you can see hints coming at things like that. Not everything's perfect. I don't love everything about New Avengers, but like I said, to me, it's just a much better team, much more interesting. I like seeing somebody like Luke Cage come to the forefront of the Marvel Universe after being sort of a secondary guy, almost forgotten for so long. You know, I was sick of Dr. Pym, sick of Hawkeye, and all those people. So, you know, and one last thing, classic Avengers fans, I'll just say one thing. You had 500 friggin' issues, so, you know, if you don't like it, you can always read those. Alright, I'm really pushing it, so see you next time. Thanks a lot. Later.